Thank you for joining us. My name is Karim Kanji. I am your host for today. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/xconnecttv, where you can find out all the interviews. And as well, please visit our website at xconnectto.com for interviews, white papers, and articles as well. I'm very excited to bring to you a very good friend of mine, Robleh Jama. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I am excellent. Thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. We actually had this scheduled for a while back, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And you had to cancel.
I think, was it me?
Yeah.
I think you're right, yeah.
Because you were doing some cool stuff.
I was busy building things.
Busy building things, and we'll talk about that as well. Now, I met you a while back. Actually, in this space, I think, was the first time that I was introduced to you by a common friend that we have, who actually we've had on the show as well, the owner of the Work Republic, and you were doing a bunch of things, and I was first introduced to you as someone who had created a children's game for the iPhone. Why don't we start from that? You've got a company called Tiny Hearts, and you developed this game, Pocket Zoo.
Yep.
Why don't you talk about Pocket Zoo? Actually, why don't we start from Tiny Hearts? How did Tiny Hearts start? A mobile development company.
Yep.
How did that company start?
So I started Tiny Hearts about 2 years ago. It's an app studio focused on creating family-friendly apps, specifically in the entertainment, education, and gaming spaces and categories, but targeting kids, families, that type of demographic. So I started it a couple of years ago. Essentially, it was a way for me to combine my two passions of technology and family.
Yeah.
At the time, I was expecting my first child, and I knew I wanted to start an app company. So I kind of just combined the two and said, you know what, why not create an app company that's focused on creating quality apps and content for kids.
Yeah.
And something that I could share with my daughter, and that other people could share with their kids. So that's essentially how Tiny Hearts started back in 2010. And Pocket Zoo was the first app we produced, and it's essentially an education/entertainment app that puts a zoo in your pocket, just like the name says.
All those animals.
All those animals. Not all. So yeah, we have about.
But before you go and explain it, what were you doing? And I want to get to that because I think that game is amazing. But I'm curious. What were you doing prior to Tiny Hearts? Were you in school? Were you working? What was up with Rob?
So prior to Tiny Hearts, I did a couple of things. While I was in university, I kind of stumbled across entrepreneurship and this tech scene back in 2006 by accident. So you could call me an accidental entrepreneur.
Okay. I think there's a book.
Is there?
Isn't there? The Accidental Entrepreneur? Or there should be one.
There should be one.
All right. We'll write it together.
And there's a lot of people. There's some people that, they have those genes and they know they want to be entrepreneurs from an early age, and some people just stumble across this. And I stumbled across this, and it wasn't just through entrepreneurship, it was through more technology, and I became infatuated with the web and blogs, and I just started consuming all this content. And I got to a point where, I said, I'm tired of reading all of these things. I want to actually go out there and start creating.
Interesting.
And that's how it all started. So back in 2006, I was still going to university. Me and a couple of our buddies, we decided to create a social network.
Okay.
For people who are into sneakers.
Wow. Okay, so now you and I have had some conversations, and when I first heard about this, I go, oh my goodness. You started a social network when the word social network was just put into the dictionary. But yeah, talk about this. You can explain further. Go on.
So Sneaker Play was another passion project. So my habit is usually I take stuff that I'm passionate about and I turn it into products, and they somehow become companies, right?
So Sneaker Play was a social network
for people who are into sneakers. So it was an invite-only social network.
Yeah.
For people who are into sneaker culture, into street culture, street fashion, this type of demo again. So it was invite-only, launched in 2006. Making something invite-only and making it exclusive automatically makes people want it. So as soon as
Facebook inspiration for that?
Partly.
Okay.
The other part was, it helps you manage the costs of hosting.
Sure.
Right? But then it also has marketing benefits as well.
Yeah.
People want what they can't have, right? And we're playing in the sneaker culture. And sneaker culture, it's all about exclusivity. It's all about limited edition this, limited edition that. So that was kind of the impetus of Sneaker Play. We started in 2006, put out a private beta, and
you got visitors.
Yes.
Awesome. Continue.
So,
people are watching from all around us. So
yeah. So we launched in 2006 as my own site. I sent out kind of an early exclusive to a few bloggers that I knew, and they helped me spread it. And as soon as we launched, we had like 5,000 people on the waiting list.
Wow.
So that summer, we kind of spent that summer. It was essentially MVP, right?
Okay.
Before we knew about
MVP, for those who might not understand, is not most valuable player.
Yes, you're right. It's a minimum viable product. So
okay.
This was when we had no clue about this idea. But we took that path where we launched something and we put up a landing page before we were ready. We had a few people kind of beta test with us over the summer. By the end of the summer, we opened up the site. We were able to build relationships with people from the brands like Nike and Adidas, and by the time we launched in September, Nike was our first sponsor. So
awesome.
It worked out perfectly as planned. Yeah.
Nice. And so that launched in 2008?
2006.
2006, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
2006.
6 years ago, yeah, it's a long time ago.
It is. It's like an eternity.
Yeah.
And then what happened? After 2006, you guys launched, you're out there. Nike, your first sponsor.
Yeah, so we were profitable from day one.
And they made a movie about you guys?
No,
not yet.
That was another guy. So we launched in 2006, and it was very well received. We started growing the community. We started getting more sponsors on board. We got a lot of great press because it was just a novel idea. It makes people, turn their heads whenever they hear Sneaker Social Network, right?
Sure.
So we got on the New York Times, USA Today, National Post, and a lot of online.
It's amazing.
Picked it up. And we got on Mashable a few times too.
Yeah.
When Pete Cashmore was still writing back in 2006. So we did that, and I actually took a year off school just to focus on it.
Amazing.
Because it was doing pretty well. And then I reached the point we all reached the point where we weren't so passionate about it anymore. And we started kind of the exit process.
Okay.
And we eventually sold the site.
Awesome. So you sold the company, Sneaker Play.
Yep.
Amazing. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So now let's kind of move fast forward. You sell Sneaker Play. What happens between then and Tiny Hearts, or between then and Pocket Zoo? So between that time I got married. Okay.
I was expecting my first child.
Yeah.
I decided to get some kind of experience in the corporate world. So I took a position at a big software company. Okay. For a little bit. And I learned a lot for the first year, and after that I knew I wanted to go back to doing my own thing. So that's when...
So it's not an entrepreneur today, it's not an accident anymore. You've kind of planned this one.
Yes, definitely.
Before it was like, okay, we're doing something, I guess I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You went to go work in corporate and you decided, okay, I definitely want, my life is there.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I knew I wanted to be doing my own thing. I knew I wanted to be in the technology space. And I preferred to be working on creative projects. And if you look at the companies that I've started, they've all been creative, design-driven companies that initially started from like a side project or a passion project. Sure. And that's pretty much how Tiny Hearts started as well.
So Pocket Zoo. Let's talk about the product. I think it's amazing. So it's like you said, it's a zoo in your pocket.
Yep.
So it's not just, so someone would think, okay, you've got pictures of animals and things on there, but it's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about the product and maybe some inspiration and some results that you've gotten out of it?
Got it. Okay. So the product itself, it's got a few kind of layers of it, and a lot of it is just getting the best animal content into one application. So what we did was we created this zoo-like illustration. So it's illustrated animals that you kind of explore a zoo map with your fingers. And you tap on an animal, you can see an actual real photo of the animal. Yeah. Tapping on the photo will play the animal sounds. You can hear what the animal sounds like, and younger kids really love this.
Amazing.
Part.
Oh yeah.
And then if you if you slide up a bit, you'll see more animal information, so you can learn about the animal in a kid-friendly, teacher-approved way.
Okay.
And we also have animal videos and live cams, so you can actually watch live animals on your phone or iPad.
So how did you incorporate this? And that's what astounded me, this live camera stuff. You know, the videos I can see, you know, just search through YouTube and kind of get the best videos on certain animals. The live cam, how did you incorporate that into your app?
Yeah, so this is existing content that's already online.
Okay.
So what we did was we created a ZooCam viewer. Right?
Okay.
So again, we curated, just like we did with the videos, we curated the best cams.
Okay.
And then we put it into that form factor of the iPhone, and then eventually we also created an iPad application.
Interesting. What are some of these zoos that you had that you're pulling in this camera?
So there zoos from all over the world.
Okay.
Everywhere from here in Canada, say Montreal, to
Okay.
zoos and aquariums in Japan,
Yeah.
in Europe, and in the US.
I'm curious, did you get any feedback from them on your product?
So the feedback that we got from zoos has been pretty positive. What we do is we feature all the zoos inside our app. So there's a featured section.
Okay.
And we kind of give information about how people can support these zoos and how they can adopt animals.
Oh, amazing.
And we're part of an organization called 1% for the Planet. So
Okay.
what we do is we donate 1% of our revenues to environmental organizations.
Amazing. So how much is the app actually in the iTunes store?
It's $199.
Okay.
Actually, we launched at $199.
Yeah.
For the iPhone, and then we eventually made an iPad app that was $299.
Yeah.
But recently, we actually raised our prices.
Okay. What is it now?
So it's $299 on the iPhone and
Yeah.
$399 on the iPad.
Amazing. And then 1% goes back to charity.
Yep.
And it's a cool, fun, interesting app for children to learn about it. And so this makes me want to have an iPad and an iPhone even more.
Definitely.
After hearing more about this.
Yeah.
What sort of feedback have you received from users? What are they talking about?
Users are loving the app. We're getting consistently 4 to 5 stars on the app. We're getting feedback from parents, but also teachers are buying the app for their classrooms.
Amazing.
Which is great to see. And even Apple gave us a lot of love. They featured the app as soon as we launched.
Oh, great.
In over 80 countries. So right away we had customers in over 80 countries.
Yeah.
And we shot up the charts and became a #1 education app back in 2010 and a top 50 overall app. And then this product also got a lot of great press, including mentions in Wired magazine, who called it a must-have app, and New York Times again.
Fantastic. So that was back in 2010.
Yep.
So it's been 2 years. Have you done any refreshes
Oh yeah.
at all to the app? Any updates at all?
Yeah. So majority of that 2 years was spent on refining the product.
Okay.
To a point where now it's getting 4 and 5 stars.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of bug fixes. We launched a free version as well, so people could try the app out.
Okay.
And then we also launched the iPad version it was a year afterwards. So yeah, 2011 we launched the iPad version.
Fantastic.
And now we're working on the Android version.
The Android version.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I don't even have an Android. I got an Android tablet, so
yeah.
hopefully we'll be there. So a few questions. Number one, let's talk about Android and iPhone. You've developed for the iPhone, you've developed for the iPad. Now you're developing for the Android. So a couple of questions that arise from that. Why are you developing for the Android? Number one. Number two, a lot of developers that I've spoken to said that the market for Android is very different than, I guess, the users on the iOS products. And one of the things that they mentioned is that things you can charge to people on the iPhone or iPad, on Android, there's almost an expectation from users that a lot of things are going to be free. So I'd like you to speak on that if you could.
So for me, I like experimenting. I like learning by doing, right?
Okay.
I learned a lot from just launching an application on the iOS platform. And my goal of launching Pocket Zoo on Android is to learn more about that platform. I think Android's not going away. They still have a lot of areas that they need to improve. But they are slowly improving them. And there are better devices coming out as the OS gets updated. It's getting much, much better. It's still not to the level of iOS, in my opinion. But it's something that I want to continue to learn about and experiment with. So for me, it's kind of more of experimenting and seeing what works in that market, because you can only learn once you start doing and putting products out there.
And what about charging? Do you think you're going to go through that learning process as well?
Yeah.
See if people will pay for it. You know, what gets better traction, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I'm probably going to do a free version and a paid version.
Yeah.
And experiment with those models and experiment with different prices as well.
One question that I have is the ability for app developers to really make a lot of money. And when I say a lot of money, I'm not talking about a few bucks here and there. You know, I'm talking the ability to make a living, I guess, or to, you know, to fund your business and to have extra so that you can actually take home and pay your home expenses and your home bills. You know, is that, and I'm not asking you know, how much money do you make, but is it possible through your experience to really create a solid income and solid revenue stream through you know, building apps such as these?
I think it's definitely possible.
Okay.
But it's really, really hard and it's really tough. I think majority of the people that are making real money on the App Store are probably the bigger companies, maybe a small minority of the independent developers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's possible, but it's very tough. I think
mm-hmm.
probably maybe 5%, I would say, ballpark figure here, just out of my head. 5% probably makes 90% of the revenue.
Of the money coming through.
Of the money coming through. So the odds are stacked against you because there's these larger companies and corporations who have huge budgets and huge teams, mm-hmm. Who are able to dominate the charts, and really it's a chart-based market, right? That's if you're playing in that hit-based market, right? There's a lot of other ways to get creative and create businesses around the App Store. Mm-hmm. But if you're focused on that hit-based market, you got to produce hits, right?
Yeah.
And
because the hits will lead to you being featured.
Yeah.
And featured will lead to more hits and downloads, and that cycle continues, and
exactly.
that's what brings
and
the money in.
Word of mouth as well.
Yeah.
Right? So if you create a quality product that is a hit, people will continue to share it.
Mm-hmm.
So it is still possible, right? And for me, that possibility, that opportunity to compete with these larger companies,
yeah.
is what I'm excited about. Is why I'm still in this space, right? Plus, Apple gives you the opportunity to reach 90+ markets, right? In terms of distribution, right? I think it's amazing that I can say, you know what, I have the access to all these people, and I can say I have customers in all these markets because of this mm-hmm. platform, right?
Yeah.
So there's lots of opportunities, and there's lots of challenges, and there's lots of competition, right?
Excellent. Have you developed any more apps from through Tiny Hearts in addition to Pocket Zoo?
Yep. So I did spend more than a year just focusing on polishing and improving Pocket Zoo. And just this year, I launched my second app called Insta Match.
Insta Match, yes.
The Instagram game.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it the only Instagram game?
No, it's not.
Was it the first?
It was.
As far as you know,
I think there was one that got to the store before us.
Okay.
So we were probably the second.
The second one?
Yeah.
So talk about Insta Match. I thought it was pretty cool.
So Insta Match is it's a matching game where the photos are pulled from Instagram, right?
Yeah.
So you can play with your own photos,
mm-hmm.
And you can try to match duplicates, identical pairs, or you can play with our Insta Match themes mm-hmm. in our Insta Match mode, which adds a few twists to the traditional matching or memory game.
Yeah.
Where your goal is not to match identical photos, but
yeah.
you're supposed to match two unique photos of the same thing. So for example, if you're in our nature theme and you tap on a photo and you see a rainbow, right? Your goal is to match and find the other rainbow photo, but it'll be two unique photos taken by two
different photos, but
different users.
The thing in common that they have is the rainbow.
Exactly, right?
Amazing.
So that's kind of one twist, and then in harder, more difficult levels, we add more cards, and then just to mess with people, we actually, in the hardest level, the cards actually start
continue to move.
Yeah, and move on you while you're playing.
So this is an iPad game?
It's an iPad and an iPhone game.
And an iPhone game as well.
Yep.
And now that Instagram is on Android, will it soon be an Android game?
It's something that we're considering.
Yeah.
We haven't made that call yet, but we're definitely considering that right now. So talk about kind of the process, similar to Pocket Zoo when you launched it, and
you know, you were written up in all these places and where you were featured. What was the experience with Instamatch?
Yeah, so Instamatch was also very well received. It got featured by Apple again in 80 plus countries, and that always helps it go up the charts. And we got a lot of good online press from blogs like TechCrunch, which is one of the big Apple review sites, coolhunting.com, Swiss Miss, and Revision 3 did actually like a video review of it as well.
Nice.
So it was very well received, and people seem to like it online, and on the App Store and the Instagram community actually themselves seem to enjoy the app as well.
Now there's hundreds of apps that come out, if not thousands of apps that come out all the time. What is your secret sauce to be able to, 2 apps out, both of them featured, 2 apps out, lots of online press. What do you do to get that? Is it just the quality of the game? Is it the content of the game? Or are you hustling out there, making calls, sending emails, finding out what interests these people? I'd like for you to talk on that. Not necessarily so this is how Rob succeeds, but I mean, there's a lot of people that watch this who are, you know, entrepreneur startups, and they're wondering, how the heck do I get my product out there?
So I think for me, it starts with the idea, right? I don't rush the idea. I spend a lot of time just dissecting the market, figuring out what's out there, what's hot, what's not, what's working. And then I kind of overlay that with what I like, what I'm passionate about, what I'm good at. So that's really where it starts. And if I see an opportunity, if I have an idea or something that I really like and that I think should be out there, I'll go and execute it. And I think that's really important, that you create a great product, right? A beautifully designed product that works well, that makes your customers happy, your target market, right? And then in terms of getting PR attention, I think if you do those things right, like you focus on a unique idea, you create a beautifully designed product. The PR angle usually it comes along with it if you've done your homework, right? So this is where you got to do your research. You got to figure out who to reach out to,
who writes about what,
but also build relationships with these people, right? Because essentially you're kind of building a brand, right? So if they know about you from a previous project, which is the case for me, I've done a few projects and products that I've been able to kind of reach out to these reporters and bloggers and build a relationship over time, and they kind of trust me as somebody who's able to, or they rely more on me, and they kind of say, you know what, this guy is a trusted source for putting out good products. I'll at least check it out, right? And then your product has to do the selling for you. Interesting. PR is really all about relationships. That's how I like to think about it.
Fantastic. So a couple of products coming out of Tiny Hearts, and then you've got this busy building things, and you mentioned that at the beginning, that you're busy building things. This is not really a tech startup, but more of a product lifestyle sort of thing. You've got posters, stickers, these sorts of things. Talk about busy building things. How did that project come about?
So I enjoy creating things, whether it's digital or physical. And busy building things was just a motto of mine, and I think it's a motto again that a lot of people can relate to. And it started off as, hey, this sounds cool, let me get the domain name. And I sat on it for a while. I didn't know what to do with it. I just knew it described me very well, and I knew it described a lot of other people, their mentality, right, their lifestyle. They're busy coming up with ideas, busy executing, staying up late at night. They're passionate about something, and they kind of follow through and see it through. So I wanted to create products for these types of people, right? So people like me. So then I decided, you know what, I'm going to start with something that that would be relevant to these types of people, be relevant to me. So I decided to initially focus on posters, stickers, easy products that you could put on your laptop, or you could put up in your office, desktop wallpapers. Again, focusing on beautiful design, because again, this is just another creative outlet for me. So that's how the idea started, and it was really just a side project that kept evolving, and then turned into another company. And now we have products in the offices of companies like Facebook, Google, Apple, MailChimp, right? So it looks like it's it's being very well received and it's resonating with other people out there.
And you've got a lot of other products and other plans on the go with various other businesses and people, and I'd love to one day sit and chat about that as kind of things kind of develop and become apparent, but we're right out of time at this moment. But Robleh, thanks so much for sharing with us. I'm wondering if you could just, as we end off here, tell people about where they could find out information about Tiny Hearts, the games that you've produced, as well as Busy Building Things.
Cool. So Tiny Hearts, tinyhearts.com. Busy Building Things, also busybuildingthings.com. And people can find me on Twitter at Robleh Jama, ROBJAMA.
And your games are your Instamatch,
and Pocket Zoo.
Both be found on Tiny Hearts.
Tiny Hearts. Or if you want to go straight to Pocket Zoo, you can go to pocketzooapp.com.
Okay.
And for Instamatch, I have a little domain hack, Instagames. So it's INSTAGAM.ES.
.es. Yeah. Fantastic. Robleh Jama, someone that I've always thought, since I've met him, as one of Toronto's unsung entrepreneurs, really making some waves, not just in Toronto and not just in Canada, but across the world in 80 plus countries and territories. His product can be found, which is just amazing. So you haven't heard the last from Robleh Jama. Again, my name is Karim Kanji. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, go to youtube.com/xconnecttv. Subscribe, please, to our videos and watch all the interviews that we've done with a lot of movers and shakers in the space. You can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/xconnectto, and follow us on Twitter at xconnectto. Again, Karim Kanji, thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.